adventurer. Hell of a storm, ain't it? Welcome to my modest little outpost on the edge of oblivion. It's not Sears and Roebuck. We usually got what people are looking for. Fuel, food, and any other kind of provisions one needs to survive out here. But I don't suppose that's what you were looking for. Well, follow me then. Library's in the back. Our flagship in London boasts a larger quantity, but we got some beauties they wish they could catalog themselves. Until then, they're all mine. Besides, I like to think a little adventure makes the ones in our collection worth it. Like ghost stories? I don't have much in the way of half-seen specters or transparent wailing ghouls stalking graveyards. But I do have something here if I can find... Ah! Yeah! This is the one by the fellow who wrote Sherlock Holmes. And this ain't one of those creaky whodunits. Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, or Artie, as I like to call him, drives him absolutely batshit. It's hysterical. Would you believe it if I told you Artie's jumped on board that spiritualism train? I know, the man who creates one of the most revered fictional rationalists of our day, and yet he believes that old Madame Eustace can conjure the dead. Well, whatever gets your rocks off, I guess. Coming off the fumes the English brought back with them from their military occupation in Egypt, and the craze surrounding the discovery of Ramesses II's withered corpse, he wrote this little gem of a yarn in 1892 for Harper's Magazine. Now, this wasn't Doyle's first stab at Egyptian fiction. Just a few years prior, he released The Ring of Thoth. Universal made a movie out of it with that Karloff fellow. What's fine tale? Immortal romance, magic spells, the undead in modern day. But they're combining it with the good parts of it with this one. No lovey-dovey nonsense, no righteous detective saving the day. Just good old-fashioned horror hokum. Lot number 249.
Smith? My goodness, Smith, what's the matter? You're pale as a ghost. What in the world could have frightened you?
Where is it now? Ah, look, see the curve of a road just beyond your gate?
Yes, I suppose I saw someone pass. A rather tall and thin fellow. But what of him? And what of yourself? You're shaking like an aspen.
Peterson, I need paper and a pen.
Why won't you tell me what's going
I
on?
have a public duty, Professor. One that may force my hand to murder.
Murder? Now, let's be reasonable.
Believe me, it would be unreasonable to adopt any other course. I hope it shouldn't have to come to this, but it will ease my mind to know you have my statement of motives.
You'll find what you need there in that side table.
Thank you, my friends. Forgive me, I'm having difficulty with my hands.
Pass me the pen and paper. You take the brandy. Speak to me what you must, and I'll do the writing.
Everything, Peterson. You must omit no detail I give you, no matter how outlandish. Swear it.
Yes, dear boy. I swear it.
My name is Abercrombie Smith. I live in what they call Old College in Oxford, in the ancient corner turret, the one with the spiral stone case. These bizarre events began in May of this year. I occupied the top room, Edward Bellingham beneath me, and Monkhouse Lee beneath him. I suppose I should start on May 2nd. My friend, Jethro Hastie, and I had just finished an evening rowing on the river. We sat in comfortable silence until...
By the way, Smith, have you made the acquaintance of either of the fellows on your stair yet?
Not yet. Just an occasional nod when we pass.
I should be inclined to let it stand at that. I don't think I should take them to my bosom if I were you. Not that there's much amiss with Monkhouse Lee.
That wiry fellow?
Precisely. He is rather gentlemanly, though. I don't think there's any vice in him. But then you can't know him without knowing Dr. Bellingham. And he's a man whom I, for one, would rather not know. There's something damnable about him. He's no fool, though. They say he's one of the best professors for his line.
Medicine or classics?
Eastern languages. He's a demon at them. Chillingsworth met him somewhere above the Second Cataract last holiday, and he told me that he just prattled to the Arabs as if he has been born and nursed and weaned among them. He spoke Coptic to the Copts and Hebrew to the Jews. He even said they came across some Bedouins to whom he spoke Arabic so fluently that they were all ready to kiss the hem of his frock coat.
Why do you say you can't know Lee without knowing Bellingham?
Because the good doctor is engaged to his sister Evelyn, a bright little girl, Smith. I know the whole family well, but it disgusts me to see that brute with her.
You show every card in your hand, old chap. You've really nothing against this fellow except that?
Well, I've known her since she was a child, and I don't like to see her taking risks. He is a risk, and he has a beastly temper, a venomous temper. You remember his row with Professor Norton?
I'm a freshman, remember? Before my time.
Of course. It was last winter. Rumor has it that Bellingham collided with the old market woman coming down the opposite way on the towpath by the river. It had just been raining, and you've seen what happens to those fields after rain. The collision sent the old woman tottering into the muck, and Norton told him what he thought of it. One word led to another, and it ended in Norton laying his stick across the fellow's shoulders. There was a deuce of a fuss about it, and by Jove, Smith, it's almost 11. Here I've been gossiping what I ought to have kept safely tucked up. Rest is the body in repair, though I shan't have to tell Oxford's new medical prodigy that. Good night, old boy, and take my tip as to your neighbour.
After Hastie had left, I continued to read for an hour, until I heard the most puzzling sound. I figured the noise must have come from downstairs, from Bellingham's floor. Suddenly, young Monkhouse Lee burst into the room.
Come down! It's Bellingham!
I followed him closely down the spiral stairs, into the sitting room beneath my own.
Is he dying?
No, just faint, I think. Give me a hand with him. You take his feet, now onto the sofa, there. He'll be all right if we undo his collar and give him some water. His heart's going like a pair of castanets. What could have frightened? He's frightened to pieces.
How do we get him to drink this?
Splash him with it. What the deuce could have frightened him so?
I wager it's that mummy.
It was then I took the room in. It was such a chamber as I had never seen before, a museum rather than a study. The walls and ceilings were thickly covered with 1,000 strange relics from Egypt. Tall, angular figures with weapons, animal-headed statues, with almond-eyed gold pharaohs with strange, beetle-like deities cut out of blue Egyptian stone. I felt as though Osiris peeped down from every shelf, while across the ceiling was a great, hanging-jaw crocodile slung in a double noose. The table was littered with papers, bottles, and dried leaves of some palm-like plant, all heaped together in order to make room for the sarcophagus against the wall. Within was the mummy, a horrid, withered thing, lying half out the case with its claw-like hand and bony forearm resting upon the table. Propped up against the sarcophagus was an old yellow scroll of papyrus. Bellingham, now having fully come to, sprang off the sofa, seized the roll of papyrus, thrust it into the drawer, turned the key, and staggered back to the sofa.
What do you chaps want?
You've been shrieking out, making no end of a fuss. If your neighbour here hadn't come from above, I don't know what we should have done with you.
Smith, is it? Abercrombie Smith, Oxford's own medical prodigy? How very good of you to come in. What a fool you must think me. How long was it from the time you ran down and I came to my senses?
Not long, 4, maybe 5 minutes.
What a strange thing unconsciousness is. There is no measurement to it. I could not tell from my own sensations if it was seconds or weeks. Take this gentleman, for instance, buried in the days of the 11th dynasty some 40 centuries ago, and yet, if he could find his tongue, he would tell us that this lapse of time has been but a closing of the eyes and a reopening of them. He is a singularly fine mummy.
I took a closer look at the mummy. The features, though horribly discolored, were perfect, and 2 little nut-like eyes still lurked in the depths of the black, hollow sockets. The blotched skin was drawn tightly from bone to bone, and a tangled wrap of black, coarse hair fell over the ears. 2 thin teeth, like those of a rat, overlay the shriveled lower lip. In its crouching position with bent joints and craned head, there was a suggestion of energy about the horrid thing which made mine gorge rise.
Know anything of Eastern languages, Smith?
Not a word, I'm afraid.
Been trying to uncover the fellow's name. You see, on the outer sarcophagus, the inscriptions are missing. Lot 249 is his name now. That was his number at auction.
Must have been a handsome fellow in his day.
6'7" in height. That would have been a giant back then, even among the most robust of that race. Feel these great knotted bones, too. He would be a nasty fellow to tackle.
Perhaps he helped build the pyramids.
So, this fellow has been pickled in natron and looked after in the most approved style. They didn't serve Hodsmen in that fashion. Salt or bitumen was enough for them. You know, this sort of thing would cost 730 pounds in our money. Must have been a noble at the very least.
I'm opening a window, Edward. It's much too stuffy here. And those old dried up plants aren't doing your lungs any favors.
Balsamic resin, the sacred plant of priests.
That's quite fascinating, but I must be off. Examinations are underway.
You're not leaving now.
Not to worry, Eddie. I shall stay with you for a while.
Abercrombie Smith, it's been a pleasure, despite the circumstances. I look forward to our next meeting.
As do I, Dr. Edward Bellingham. In this strange way, we began our acquaintance. Twice he called me to thank me for my assistance, and many times afterward he looked in on me with books, papers, and other such civilities as two bachelor neighbours could offer each other. I found myself, after a time, looking forward to his visits, even if I did detect a dash of insanity in the man.
I did some studying on the sarcophagus and found a name, but certainly not of the fellow I purchased. I've deduced it must have been the one who oversaw the mummification. Such practices the church would hasten to cry pagan, yet do we not make a spectacle of our burials? Do we still yearn to have some say in the course of our lives while we worship some unseen Almighty? Today's religion lets him make the call from on high. These ancient religions, however, knowledge was knowledge, wisdom was wisdom. Their gods kept no secrets. What a wonderful thing to feel that one can command the powers of good and evil and bring about a ministering angel or a demon of vengeance.
I'm sure Lee has differing thoughts on the matter.
Lee is a good fellow, but he is without strength or ambition. He would not make what I call a fit partner for a man with enterprise.
I suppose not. He hardly matches your passion for speech. Most nights I can only hear you do the talking. It's as if he isn't there.
I'm sorry, but I don't follow. Lee and I hardly speak unless it concerns my marriage to his sister.
But I heard you last night speaking. Surely you weren't conversing with yourself.
No, I was not conversing with myself, nor anyone else. Your room must be haunted, and the spirits died in a gossipy fit. There's no more to speak on the matter.
Someone's gone in or out of your room.
But I locked it. I'm almost positive I locked it.
Bellingham rushed through the door, slammed it loudly behind him, and hurried down the stairs. Then, just as quickly, hurried back up.
It was that fool of a dog. He had pushed the door open. I don't know how I forgot to lock it.
I didn't know you kept a dog.
Yes, I haven't had him long. I must be rid of him. He's a great nuisance.
I could keep an eye on him if you'd like.
No, it's no trouble at all. Is that clock right? And I am a quarter of an hour late already for an appointment. You'll excuse me, I'm sure.
Bellingham had lied so clumsily it felt desperate. I knew he had no dog, and the sound of those steps were no animal. I then wondered if he was harbouring a woman. If so, it would mean disgrace and expulsion to Bellingham if it was discovered by the authorities. And yet I couldn't conceive that a professor would keep a woman in his room, let alone him, without being instantly detected. There was something ugly about it, and I decided to pause our relations for a time.
Still at it? What a chap you are to stew. I believe an earthquake might come and knock Oxford into a cocked hat, and you would sit there perfectly placid with your boots among the ruins.
What's the news then?
Have you heard about Professor Norton? He's been murdered.
Murdered? But who?
Ah, that's the rub. What is more grammatically correct? Poor bloke who caught sight of the attack swears it wasn't human. There's a tree that hangs low over the path, the big elm from Rainey's garden. Word is the thing dropped on him out of the tree. He was strangled by something large. A couple of chaps heard his screams and came running. Only glimpse they got was the thing going over the wall like a cat. I'm not supposed to be spreading it around, but supposedly the thing had a set of claws that dug right through Norton's throat. Anyways, your new neighbor downstairs may be pleasant to hear about it.
Why's that?
Well, remember that row the two of them got into over the old market woman? If it's true, the man knows how to harbor a grudge. Lee says you made quite an acquaintance of him.
Well, I made an effort to know him, of course.
I don't think he's the right sort of Johnny, but he's clever and all that. Lee's a decent enough fellow. Well, so long, old chap. Oh, I wanted to tell you that I row Mullins for the Vice-Chancellor's pot on Wednesday, so you mind come down in case I don't see you before?
For 10 days, I confined myself so closely to my studies that I neither saw nor heard anything from Bellingham. Though more than once I heard a knocking on the outer door, I refused to answer it. One afternoon, however, when I was descending the stairs, passing Bellingham's door,
You're a fool, Monkhouse Lee. You'll be sorry.
You mind what I say? It's off!
You still promise silence.
I'll keep to that. But I'd rather my sister was dead before pledging her life to you. It's off, Edward. She'll listen to me and will forever be rid of you.
the following day was the sculling match between Hastie and Mullins. I chose a position to watch the race from where intuition told me there would be the greatest struggle.
I need to speak with you.
I'm afraid I haven't much time. I only came out to see the match for Hastie. He's a friend of mine.
Smith, if I were you, I would change my rooms at once.
May I ask why?
I cannot give my reasons, due to a devil's bargain of my own. But I may go as far as to say that Bellingham is a dangerous man to live near. I intend to camp elsewhere for a time.
I know you both had a row involving your sister, but what does this business have to do with me?
That's what I mustn't say. Just take my advice and move your rooms. He's a monster, Smith. That's the only word for him. I started to have doubts since the night he fainted. I met with him to address those doubts and was told things that made my hair rise. He then asked me to stand in with him. I'm not straight-laced, but I am the son of a clergyman. I only thank God that I found him out before it was too late, and he was married into the family.
Lee, you are either saying a great deal too much or a great deal too little.
I'm trying to warn you.
Without saying what you're warning me against.
Against Bellingham. I entreat you to change your rooms. You are in danger where you stay. I don't think he wishes to harm you, but should you cross him...
Perhaps I know more than you think. Suppose I tell you someone else shares Bellingham's rooms.
So you do know, then?
He's got a woman.
No, good God. I can say no more.
This brings us to last night. I shut up my books at 8:15 with every intention to visit you, Professor. However, my eyes chanced to fall upon one of the books that Bellingham had lent me, and despite all the negativity, I was not going to be discourteous. I took the book, walked downstairs, and would have knocked, but it was already ajar. I walked in, left the book on the table with my card. The lamplight was turned halfway down. I could still see the details of the room plainly enough. The animal-headed gods, the hanging crocodile, the table littered over with papers and dried leaves. The sarcophagus stood upright against the wall, but the mummy itself was missing. I left the room. It was black as pitch in the turret. I was slowly making my way down the steps when I felt something pass me in the darkness. I thought little of it as I exited the turret. Hastie had come running to me across the lawn.
Smith, is that you?
Yes, Hastie. What's wrong?
Monkhouse Lee drowned. The doctor is out, so you'll have to do. But come along at once. There may be life in him.
Have you brandy?
No.
I'll grab the flask from my table. I rushed back to Bellingham's and saw the door was open again. 3 minutes ago, the sarcophagus had been empty. I can swear to that. Now it framed the lank body of its horrible occupant, who stood, grim and stark, with a shriveled face looking back towards the door.
Hurry up, Smith. It's life or death.
We dashed through the darkness until we reached Lee. He was limp and dripping. We wiped away the green scum of the river upon his black hair and cleared a fringe of white foam from his lips. Both of us worked to inflate and to press his chest, and eventually the shiver ran through his body.
Smith, Hastie. Thank you, chaps. Thank you.
How did you fall in?
I didn't fall in. I was thrown in. Something came running from me, then raised me from the throat and hurled me in and kept me underwater. I had nothing, so little all the same. I know what it was.
As do I.
You
You've learned then. You remember the advice I gave you?
Yes, and I will take it. I became far too enraged to give way to fear. The nerve of that fiend dwelling beneath me with his dark arts. I returned to the turret, determined to figure out the next course of action until I walked past his door.
Good evening, Smith. Won't you come in?
No, I don't think I will.
No? Busy as ever, I see. I wanted to ask you about Lee. I was sorry to hear the news about his fatal attack. First Norton, now he. Dreadfully upsetting.
You'll be more sorry to hear that Monkhouse Lee has survived and is doing well out of danger. You needn't try to brazen it out. I know all about it.
Do you assert that I had anything to do with Lee's accident?
You and that ancient corpse. You've worked it between the two of you. They may have given up burning folks like you, but we still keep a hangman.
You think me villainous enough to use this dried-up corpse as an instrument of vengeance? Is that it?
Lee thought so too. That's why you sent after him, didn't you? He wouldn't tell. Not that the world would believe him, but he knew. That's why he cast you off on his sister. I will be keeping a very close eye on the men of this college. If anyone meets their deaths here, by your hand or not, I will see to it personally that you answer for it. Your hellish tricks have no place in England.
I must be going now. Goodbye, Smith.
This morning I heard nothing from Bellingham. No chanting, no doors. Instead, I stuck fast to my work. But after the burnout that medical techs can inevitably bestow, I thought it best to give my efforts to see you, Professor, another go. I'm no stranger to that lonely, ill-frequented road to your house. I walked briskly along until I came across the avenue gate, the one that opens onto the long gravel drive to Farringford. As soon as I shut the gates, I noticed it, coming down the road. A dark, crouching figure dimly visible against the shadows. Even as I gazed back at it, it quickened its pace unnaturally. Its eyes were open, alert, alive. Its talons bared, mouth agape, screaming some sort of attack cry. I ran as fast as I could. I knew it was gaining, but I daren't look back. I daren't. I kept the pace until I came to your gates and flung them shut. It tried to get in, but it couldn't get through the iron bars. That's when I stumbled in.
I've never heard of such a thing in my life. To think of it, how could such a thing as this stride about the streets of Oxford, even at night, without being seen?
It has been seen.
It is a striking chain of events. You must be prepared for those who claim what you've described as capable of a more natural explanation.
Even what happened tonight?
Certainly. They will argue that your nerves are all unstrung. A great many coincidences align themselves in your tired mind. Some gaunt, half-famished tramp steals after you, and seeing you run is emboldened to pursue you. And again, with your insistence of finding the sarcophagus empty, then occupied, you know the lamp was turned halfway down, and that you had no special reason to look hard at the case. It is quite possible that you may have overlooked the creature in the first instance.
It's out of the question.
Lee could have fallen into the river. Norton may as well have been the victim of a crazed garroter. It is a formidable indictment that you have against Bellingham, but if you were to place it before a police magistrate, he would laugh you out.
That is why I intend to take the matter into my own hands. Will you retain the transcript?
I shall.
Thank you, Professor. With your leave, I shall rest here a bit. Tomorrow morning, I will put an end to this.
Well, make yourself at home, why don't you? And you're brandishing a gun. Well, good for you. You've loaded the barrel as well. Well done, chap, well done. And you brought a knife for me. I must say, I feel rather at a disadvantage.
Cut up the mummy.
Is that it?
If in 5 minutes, if you have not set to your work, I swear to by the God who made me, I will put a bullet through your brain.
And only yesterday you were accusing me of murder. Growing jealous?
I will murder you if it means an end to your mischief. 1 minute gone.
But what have I done?
2 minutes gone.
Dad, I must have a reason. This mummy is valuable property.
4 minutes are gone.
Fine, I'll do it. You may expect a bill from me later today.
Now burn it.
No, why the hell not? Feeling satisfied?
No. Those dried up leaves,
Balsamic resin.
into the fire as well.
Anything else, dear boy, or has your bloodlust been satiated?
Where's that scroll? The one that rested near the sarcophagus.
I own a great many scrolls. You'll have to be more specific.
It's in your drawer. The locked one over there. That must be what's controlling it.
Now you've truly lost it. I will not destroy any more of my property for your insane whims.
I knew that was it. The midnight chantings. You were reading from that cursed parchment. You were quick to retrieve it the night we found you. Unlock it.
You'll have to shoot me first.
Damn you, Bellingham!
That table you just shot was an heirloom.
Is this for one? Is this the scroll?
You tell me.
This one? There will be no trouble to drop it all in the fire now.
Then why don't you?
Wait. There's one more in here.
Now, Smith, don't be a fool. That scroll contains wisdom that is found nowhere else in the world. I'll share the knowledge with you. I can teach you all that is contained within those hieroglyphs. Let me copy it at least. No! 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 No!
Well, I say I've pretty well drawn your teeth. Now I must return to my studies. Good morning, Master Bellingham.
No. Smith, you really should have taken up Eastern languages like I recommended. Now we douse the fire. Putting you back together will certainly take some time, but savor your rest, my friend. Vengeance will now be yours.
Though Artie's belief in the supernatural would wane with age, his interest in sport remained keen. He was an active cricket player with contemporaries J.M. Barrie and A.A. Milne, an amateur boxer, golfer, football goalkeeper, billiard player, and an early adopter of that Swiss fad called skiing. Being a veteran, he developed another interest in firearms and founded the Undershaw Rifle Club on his own property in 1900. He passed away July 7, 1930, having lived through the birth of the 20th century and the evolution of war. The Great War, a war unlike the world had ever experienced. Doyle is one of 53 English authors who signed the Author's Declaration stating that Britain could not without dishonor have refused to take part. A good many authors across the Atlantic and back now found themselves on the firing line. Among them, Poughkeepsie native journalist Richard Connell of the 27th New York Infantry Division. But rather than be broken by the woes, as were other men of the lost generation, he married and found success as a writer. His short stories garnered Hollywood's interest, and he continued to enjoy his creative successes as a screenwriter. But Connell's greatest success was a short story written in 1924, appearing in Collier's magazine under the name The Hounds of Zaroff. Since its publication, it's been hailed as one of the 20th century's greatest short stories. It has enjoyed countless adaptations, including one by the minds behind King Kong, Marion Cooper and Ernest B. Schutzack. Today we know this harrowing tale of wealthy madmen and their bloodlust as the most dangerous game.
Off there, to the right, is a large island. The old charts and sailors call it ship travel. Subtle, isn't it? Even the hardest sailors I've met have a curious dread of the place. A superstitious lot, sailors.
You sure it's off to the right? I can't see a thing.
Oh, we all know how good your eyes are, Rainsford. Not many men can pick off a moose in the brown fall bush at 400 yards. But even you couldn't see 4 miles out here in the moonless Caribbean.
I can hardly see a yard out in this darkness.
It'll be light enough in Rio. We should make it there in a few days at this clip. I do miss hunting up the Amazon. It'll be good to go back. Good sport hunting.
It's the best sport in the world.
Not for the jaguar.
Trading in big game hunting for philosophy now, Whitney? It's a jaguar. Who cares how it feels?
Probably the jaguar.
It's a cat. An oversized cat that licks itself and sleeps.
Even so, why shouldn't it know fear? Fear of pain, fear of death.
The Caribbean heat is making you soft, Whitney. Let's be realistic. The world is made up of 2 classes, the hunter and the hunted. You and I are hunters. Have we passed the island already?
I hope so.
And you said sailors were a superstitious lot.
I'm not walking back on it. Surely you must have noticed the crew's nerves seemed jumpy today.
They were a bit strange, now that you mention it.
Even that tough old Swede, Captain Nielsen, who'd asked the devil himself for a light. Those fishy blue eyes of his held a look I never saw before. That place has an evil name among seafaring men. Even the air is poisonous. But there was a bit of a chill today.
Oh, bull.
But don't you think sometimes that sailors have that extra sense that tells them when they're in danger? Maybe evil is a tangible thing with wavelengths, just as sound and light have. An evil place, so to speak, can broadcast vibrations of evil. Anyhow, I'm glad we're getting out of this zone. I'm going to turn in for the night.
Don't go on giving yourself nightmares. I'm going to smoke 1 more pipe on the afterdeck.
Good night then, Rainsford. See you at breakfast.
Good night, Whitney. It's like sailing into the void. Darkness all around. I wonder if I could sleep without closing my eyes. No, that couldn't have been. It is. But how and where? Off to the right. Just like Whitney said. If I can peer just further out... Oh.
Hey! Man overboard! Hey! Hey!
Somewhere up to the right, he said. Come now, Rainsford. We've been in tighter places than this. Swim. I've made it ashore. I can barely make out the line of jungle against the stars. A pistol shot. It came from deep in the jungle, but where there are pistols, there are men. Where there are men, there is food and help. The lantern, still lit. But where is its bearer? I'll ask forgiveness later. There must be a path somewhere. Blood. Looked like a rather large animal, judging by the crushed weeds. No sign of a corpse, though. And what's this, a 22 bullet? On an animal this large? There's no mistaking this with the shots I heard earlier. Either the beast put up no fight, or this hunter has unmatched nerve. Lights. Just beyond the trees. A mansion? No, a castle on the bluff. The lights are within. An iron gate. And it's unlocked. Hello? Please, you don't need that gun. My name is Sanger Rainsford of New York City. I fell off a yacht a few miles out.
The house is out of bounds. This is your only warning.
Out of bounds? No, I'm Sanger Rainsford of New York. I was cast ashore. I have no idea where I am. Please.
You are among friends, Mr. Rainsford. Ivan, at ease.
Yes, General.
Please come in, dear friend. Come in. It is a very great pleasure and honor to welcome Mr. Sanger Rainsford, hunter extraordinaire, into my own home. Let me shake your hand.
Thank you for your kindness, sir.
Think nothing of it, young man. I've read your book about the snow leopard hunt in Tibet. Enraptured, simply enraptured. The name is Zaroff. You've already met Ivan here. Such a delightful brute to look upon, don't you agree? I rather like the touch of the long beard and dark eyes. Keeps the riffraff at the bay. Ivan, prepare the guest room for Mr. Rainsford and have the chef double tonight's meal.
Yes, General.
Ivan's an incredibly strong fellow, but has the misfortune of being rather simple. Bit of a savage. Loyal, though. Dependable. The best qualities of our race.
Russian?
Cossack. Both of us, actually. You can differentiate a Cossack by our sharper canines. Come, we must not chat here. You want clothes, food, and rest. You shall have them. If you follow Ivan up the stairs, he will show you to the guest room. My clothes should fit you, I think, and after you are dressed, we shall sup and talk then. You look splendid, Rainsford. I must say, a perfect fit. Please, join me at the dinner table.
Dinner is served. Champagne, bread, borscht, and filet mignon.
Excellent, Ivan, most excellent.
I must admit, General, the finery of the silverware, the crystal, the linens.
We do our best to preserve some amenities of civilization here, though we are off the beaten path. You don't think the champagne has suffered from its long ocean trip?
Not in the least. It's delicious.
Happy to hear it. Were you surprised I recognized your name? You see, I read all books on hunting published in English, French, and Russian. I have but one passion in my life, Mr. Rainsford, the hunt.
You have some impressive trophy heads. That Cape buffalo, for instance, is the largest I've ever seen.
He was a real monster.
Did he charge you?
Hurled me against a tree, fractured my skull, but I begged the brute.
Cape buffalo has to be the most dangerous of all big game.
No, you are wrong, sir. It is not the Cape buffalo that is the most dangerous. Here on my island, I hunt even more dangerous game.
You have game on the island?
The biggest. It isn't here naturally, of course. I have to stalk the island.
Lions, tigers?
No, hunting big cats ceased to interest me some years ago. I exhausted their possibilities, you see. Not much thrill left, no real danger. And I live for danger, Mr. Rainsford. We shall have some capital hunting, you and I. It should prove most interesting. Another drink?
Of course.
Mr. Rainsford, God makes some men poets, some he makes kings, others beggars. He made me a hunter. Father said my hand was made for the trigger. He was a very rich man with 250,000 acres in the Crimea, an ardent sportsman. When I was only 5 years old, he gave me my first gun, specially made in Moscow, to shoot sparrows. When I shot some of his prized turkeys with it, he didn't punish me, he complimented my marksmanship. I killed my first bear in the Caucasus when I was 10. My whole life has been one prolonged hunt. I went into the army as was expected of a nobleman's son, and for a time commanded a division of Cossack cavalry. But my real passion was always the hunt. I have hunted every kind of game in every land. After the revolution in Russia, I left the country. Most Russian nobles lost everything. I luckily invested heavily in American securities. Naturally, I continued to hunt. Grizzlies in your Rocky Mountains, crocodiles in the Ganges, rhinos in East Africa. In fact, Africa was where the Cape buffalo attacked. Laid me up for 6 months. After I recovered, I went to the Amazon to hunt jaguars. I heard they were unusually cunning. They weren't. Then came the night I was lying in my tent with a splitting headache, and a terrible thought pushed its way into my mind. Hunting was beginning to bore me. Rather than go to pieces, I asked myself why the hunt no longer fascinated me. And it was simply that hunting ceased to be what you call a sporting proposition. It had become too easy. I always got my quarry, always. There is no greater bore than perfection. No animal stood a chance with me. And that is no boast, but a tragic mathematical certainty. Then, inspiration struck. I had to invent a new animal to hunt.
Invent a new animal. You must be joking.
I never joke about hunting. I needed a new animal, and I found one. I bought this island, built the castle, and it is here I do my hunting. This island proved more than perfect for my purposes. There are labyrinths within the jungle, some with hills, swamps.
But the animal, General Zaroff.
Follow me, Mr. Rainsford. I'd like to show you my private trophy room. This animal supplies me with the most exciting hunting in the world. No other game compares with it for an instant. For I have a quarry with which I can match my wits. I needed an animal with courage, cunning, and above all, the ability to reason.
But animals cannot reason.
My dear fellow, there is one who can.
This is a grisly joke.
No, it is hunting.
This is murder.
Oh, come now. I refuse to believe that so modern and civilized a young man as you seem to be harbors romantic ideas about the value of human life. Surely your time in the war...
I will not condone cold-blooded murder.
How extraordinarily droll. One does not expect nowadays to find a young man of the educated class, even in America, with such a naive, and if I may say so, mid-Victorian point of view. It's like finding a snuff box in a limousine. Ah, well, doubtless you had Puritan ancestors. So many Americans appear to have had. I'll wager you will forget your notions when you go hunting with me. You've a genuine new thrill in store for you, Mr. Rainsford.
I am not a murderer.
Life is for the strong, to be lived by the strong, and if need be, taken by the strong. The weak of the world are put here to give the strong pleasure. I am strong. Why should I not use my gift? If I wish to hunt, why should I not? I hunt the scum of the earth. Look again. Sailors from tramp ships, whites, blacks, Chinese, any and all Mongols. A thoroughbred hound is worth more than a score of them.
But they are men.
Precisely. That is why I use them. They can reason, so they are dangerous. Come with me to the window. Look out towards the sea. These lights indicate a channel where there is none. Giant rocks with razor edges crouch like a sea monster with wide open jaws. They can crush a ship as easily as you can crush a walnut.
And then you wait for the survivors and shoot them down.
I assure you I do no such thing. I'm no barbarian. I treat the survivors with every consideration. They have plenty of good food and exercise until they are in splendid physical condition. You shall see for yourself tomorrow.
How's that?
The cellar. I have a dozen down there now. A Spanish bark, the San Lucar, the latest of ships to have bad luck with the rocks out there. A very inferior lot, though, more accustomed to the deck than the jungle. It's the game, you see. I suggest to one of them that we go hunting. I give him a supply of food, a sharp hunting knife, and a 3-hour head start. I follow, armed only with a pistol of the smallest caliber and range. If my quarry eludes me for 3 whole days, he wins the game. If I find him, he loses.
Suppose he refuses.
If he does not wish to hunt, I turn him over to Ivan. He has his own ideas of sport.
And if they win?
I don't know. To date, I've never lost. I don't wish you to think of me as a braggart, Mr. Rainsford. Many of them afford only the most elementary problems. There was one who nearly escaped, but he couldn't outrun the dogs. They are out at 7 every night and keep a perimeter around the castle during the hunt. Should anyone try to break in, it will be quite regrettable. You must have just missed them when you entered.
I hope that you will excuse me tonight, General. I'm not feeling well.
Is that so? Well, I suppose that's only natural after your long swim. You need a good, restful night's sleep, and tomorrow you'll feel like a new man. Then we hunt, eh? Shame you can't come out with me tonight. I've one rather promising prospect, a sailor quite larger than the rest. He looks resourceful. Good night, Mr. Rainsford.
The bed is comfortable. Silk pajamas. I'm tired, but how can I close my eyes? I see his hellhounds below, pacing the perimeter. How much has the taste of human blood warped their appetites? Are they as far gone as their master?
Good morning, Rainsford. How are you feeling this morning? Terrific. I, on the other hand, do not feel so well. I believe it is another onset of ennui, boredom. The hunt was no good last night. That large sailor I was most excited to best left that trail straight as an arrow. That's the trouble with these sailors, no imagination. They're becoming excessively stupider with each new wreck. Most annoying, but c'est la vie.
General, I wish to leave the island at once.
But my dear fellow, you've just arrived.
I wish to go today.
Tonight we will hunt, you and I.
No, General, I will not hunt.
Mr. Rainsford, I'm really growing tired of this conversation. I cannot just permit you to leave my island without assuming you may influence others just as delicate in thought as you to retaliate. I am offering you the experience of a lifetime to realize your true worth. You are a damn good hunter, and you are a damn good hunter. Oh, what an inspiration this is.
You don't mean...
Why not? Think of it, man. Your brain against mine. Your woodcraft against mine. Your strength and your stamina against mine.
What if I win?
I will cheerfully acknowledge myself defeated if I do not find you by midnight of the third day, and I will arrange my sloop to place you at the nearest town on the mainland. I give my word as a gentleman and a sportsman. This is all provided that you say nothing of your visit here.
I'll agree to nothing of the kind.
Well, we can discuss that later over a celebratory bottle of Veuve Clicquot. Ivan will supply you with hunting clothes, food, and your knife. Might I suggest the moccasins? They leave a poorer trail. I suggest, too, that you avoid the swamp in the southeast corner of the island. There's quicksand. We learned that the hard way on a hunt that was cut short. More of a mercy killing in the end. Really threw off my mood. Lost a hound the same way. A good one, too. You'll want to start, no doubt, right away. I shall take my afternoon siesta now. Hunting at night is so much more exciting than the day, don't you agree? Au revoir, my most worthy opponent. Au revoir.
Clothing, food, knife. Singer Rainsford, it will be a great pleasure to see you die.
Only 3 hours of daylight left. This path ahead will bring me face to face with the sea. The water is my frame. I must operate within that frame. I'll give him a trail to follow through the treckless parts of the jungle. I'll make a series of intricate loops and triple onto them again. I played the fox, now I must be the cat. I will climb onto this tree and I will wait. These lashes from the jungle sting even now. Perhaps I can rest for a time. So very tired. Something's coming. Zaroff.
A fine goose chase, Rainsford. Such a trail in so dark a night. A man could be lost. I'd say that warrants a smoke.
Why isn't he moving? He's stopping for a cigarette? I could leap onto him now.
Should he act fast enough, he may break my back or slit my throat with his knife.
But am I faster than his trigger finger?
It is an automatic, after all.
Even a 22 is fatal at close quarters.
All I need is to look up and make the perfect aim.
All I need is to look down and ready the perfect position.
Dare you chance it?
Dare you?
No, I daren't. This is far too much fun.
The sun is rising. I must not lose my nerve. Now, I must plan. This tree was broken by a lightning strike. It leans against the smaller growing one. Sailors have little imagination, but I have a hell of a memory. I'll trap him. I'll use the jungle just as they do in Malacca and trap him. Time to get to work.
I'm almost disappointed. This trail was practically paved for me. Perhaps he's going wicked ahead. Rainsford, I know you're within the sound of my voice. I congratulate you. Not many men know how to make a Malay man catcher. I, too, have hunted in Malacca. I regret to inform you, I am still very much alive, but wounded. I shall attend to this minor injury and return shortly. You are proving most interesting, Rainsford. Most interesting.
Damn! I thought I had him. I must not lose my nerve. I must relocate, plan again. The night is not over. The plants here are ranker, denser. The insects continue to make a meal of me. The ground is getting softer. I must be near the swamp. I can't go further. Quicksand? Damn! No, I can't run, but I can still trap him. First, I must dig. Damn, he's brought a hound this time.
The finest of his litter. A gourmand of human flesh.
If Zaroff is trapped, it would still pursue me.
The only hunter better than the both of us.
It only knows the life its bloodthirsty master has given it. This is cheating.
This is hunting. Feed, Dmitri! Once again, Rainsford, you prove the greater predator. A Burmese tiger pit, excellently improvised. Wounded my best hunting dog. Up, Dmitri, that's it. Good boy. Ivan will fix you up just right. No more for tonight, I'm afraid. You've won this day. Tomorrow we shall see how you do against the pack. A most amusing evening, Rainsford.
I've calculated for one man, but a whole pack of carnivorous hellhounds. He's getting wise to me. He will expect the treachery of the jungle. It is morning, though. There is time.
Singer Rainsford, your destruction of Dmitri proved successful. Now you will face his brothers who are hungered with vengeance. The general be damned. This hunt is mine.
If I stay and wait, it's suicide. If I run, I only postpone the inevitable. There must be a way. I must remember something. The trap from Uganda. There. It's a sapling, a young one. Here, I'll fasten my hunting knife, the blade pointing down the trail in this grapevine, and I can tie down the tree with it. It's the only option I've left. I will not go out helpless. Now, I run.
I see you, great white hunter. Where are your rifles now? Here you are no better than the insect. You are but game. Yes, run. Run, game, run. The hounds will feast upon you, and you will live to feel their hunger. You are nothing on this island. You are food for the beasts. You are a trophy for my walls. You are nothing but...
Poor savage. But this is what happens when the sportsman gives way to brutality. Well, my faithful companions, feed! Change of plans, Rainsford. We hunt in the daylight.
The edge of the island. The dogs are free. They'll be looking for me. There's nowhere left to hide. There's nowhere left.
Thank you, Emil. The dinner was quite delicious. You may leave the bottle of Chambertin. Well, leave it to an American to call it quits when the going gets tough. What a hunt it was, though. setting up traps to best me, turning my own island against me. I will never find a heart of his equal, not if I stick to picking off from wrecked vessels. All the same, to you, Singer Rainsford, this delicious glass of Chambertin. First things first, however, the difficulty of replacing Ivan. Tomorrow I will stew on this further. For once, I shall sleep while the moon is out. How in God's name?
I swam. Found it quicker than running through the jungle.
Well done, my boy, well done. You've won the game. I congratulate you. Come, we must celebrate.
The game is not over.
Oh, nonsense, my boy, come. We will arrange for that sloop to carry you to the mainland.
I am still a beast at bay, Zaroff.
Yes, I see now. The dogs are quite hungry. May you enjoy this excellent bed. It's just your size.
Feed! This is a rather nice bed. I've never laid in one better. But the game must go on. Life is for the strong. I am strong. I am still a beast.
Great War's influence hung like a dark cloud over the coming decades, embedding itself in the shadows of the Roaring '20s and the Great Depression. So you can imagine the shock when the world was at war a second time. Each generation fancies themselves younger and wiser than the one before it, until that same bloodlust rears its head, gluttonous for more. But what the hell do I know? I'm just an old man with the biggest stack of books in the jungle. Storm will be clearing soon. You'll be on your way, I'll be on mine, ending up wherever I'm needed. The wilderness is vast and unpredictable, but explorers like you need to be equipped. It's dangerous out there, even in the daylight. Don't let that put you off, though. When it gets dark and you're running low, you'll find us there. Until then, adventurer, keep your weapon loaded and your torch lit.